Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relaxed Fantasy Review. Today, we're diving into the Player's Handbook again for 2024, and we are talking about the monk. Monks have gotten such a glow up in the brand new rules. Their defensive features have been greatly increased, their martial arts have been improved, their key powers have been upgraded to focus powers, which honestly do much, much better things for the monk. It's definitely what we wanted. But in the old Player's Handbook in 2014, we were given what sounded like a fantastic subclass, the Way of the Four Elements. But unfortunately, it was a bit of a dud. I think I gave it 3 out of 10 on my original review, possibly the lowest review I've ever given a subclass, because it just didn't deliver. You got to learn elemental disciplines throughout your whole career, which amounted to you learning like 3 or 4 powers that utilized your key points in very inefficient ways, most of the time to cast spell like effects. It wasn't useless, but it was weaker than just being a monk. The base monk features with all of your powers just didn't add up to what the four elements could do for you. So, thankfully, Wizards of the Coast listened to us, and in the new book, the Warrior of the Elements is the replacement for the Way of the Four Elements monk. It has been completely revamped. It is not the same subclass at all. So, Way of the Four Elements is old, Warrior of the Elements, skip the word four, is new. Is it what we needed? Is this revamp, is this reimagining of the old subclass what we want? We'll get into the details of it here in just a moment, but before we do, I'd like to let you know, Relaxed Fantasy Review has memberships. For just $1 a month, you can support me here on YouTube and get a couple benefits. First, you get a little badge next to your name in the comments, letting folks know you're a supporter. Also, you get early access to my videos. I upload videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I upload them a day early for members only. And you can jump into the VIP room in the community Discord. Anyone can join the Discord. We've got a general chat, but members get to go into the VIP room and talk directly to me about D&D, the YouTube channel, whatever it is they like. If any of that sounds interesting to you, you can click the join button just down there next to the subscribe button. And if it doesn't interest you, that's fine. Just come hang out in the Discord. Like the videos, subscribe to the channel. These are things that cost you nothing at all. And it really, really helps me out. So thank you for watching my content here on YouTube. So, the Warrior of the Elements. Let's start right at level 3, where we get the power Elemental Attunement. This is a power that you can enter, and you use a focus point, and you enter into a state of elemental attunement. This state lasts for 10 minutes, or until you're incapacitated. So yeah, you can use this at the start of combat. It powers you up. Your unarmed strikes have an additional reach of 10 feet. So this means if you're punching for 5 feet, this means you can stretch that to 15. Also, you can choose if the damage of your unarmed strikes is an elemental damage type. Fire, cold, lightning, acid, or thunder. You pick whatever damage type you want. It doesn't do any additional damage, but it can overcome damage resistances, and if you do happen to see any damage vulnerabilities, then great, this is going to help you out with that. It's that 10-foot reach that's interesting to me. Not only can you hit creatures 15 feet away from you with ease, but because the grappling in the new player's handbook is tied to unarmed strikes, this means that you can hit a creature from 10 feet away and grapple them, not deal damage to them, holding them away from you. A very cool defensive tactic. What's more is that when you do hit a creature with this elemental strike, you can force them to make a strength save, and if they fail it, they can be pushed or pulled 10 feet. So not only can you grab someone at range, but you can also pull them towards you or push them away from you if you want to. All in all, that's nice. I mean, it says in the text that elemental bursts come from your fists, so this very much feels like Avatar: The Last Airbender, where the firebenders were sending out short-range jets of flame to enhance their punches. Same with the earthbenders, airbenders, waterbenders. You're just using elemental attunement to hit creatures, and it just takes one focus point and it lasts for 10 minutes. So you get it for an entire fight, and if you're quickly moving through a space where you might be in multiple fights in a row, you only have to do it at the beginning. I think this is a solid feature. It's a shame it doesn't boost your damage. I would have liked to see like a once per turn d6 additional damage or something, but honestly, I'm going to give this 9 out of 10. You also get a cantrip, the Elementalism cantrip, which you use your wisdom to cast it. This is interesting because Elementalism is a brand new cantrip, but it basically is a prestidigitation-like effect. You can beckon the elements, dust, a breeze, mist, or embers or something. It can't do damage to anyone, so it is utility only. And it's not particularly strong. I think prestidigitation's a better cantrip, but it's still nice to have it for small amounts of utility here and there. I'll say 7 out of 10 for that. Now at level 6, you get, well, let's just say it's a fireball-like effect. You can, using 2 focus points, designate an area. This takes an action, so it is like casting fireball. 20-foot radius sphere. Dexterity saving throw. You choose the damage type. Again, acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. Creatures have to make dex saves. If they fail, they take 3 rolls of your martial arts die, half as much on a success. Now, a level ago, level 5, wizards and sorcerers and the like were getting fireball, which is 8d6 in damage. This is 3d8 in damage, which is significantly less. That being said, it costs 2 focus points versus a 3rd level spell slot to cast. This is the only leftover from the old Way of the Four Elements monk, because they used to be able to use their key to cast Fireball. But it costs like 4 key points to do. Now it's just 2, but the damage has been reduced. Still, I think that in situations where you would want to cast Fireball if you were a wizard, there's a cluster of enemies and you want to just nuke them, I think the Elements Monk would want to do this. Yes, with 2 focus points, you can do Flurry of Blows twice over 2 turns, hitting potentially 4 extra attacks, actually dealing more damage to an individual enemy. But monks aren't that good at dealing with groups. They're good at bursting enemies down and, hitting a bunch of enemy like one enemy 4 times rather than a bunch of enemies 1 time each. This power gives them an ability which doesn't cost too much. It's still expensive, but it's not stupid expensive. There's nice ways to get your, focus points back. That's much easier now. And yeah, in the situations where a fireball would be merited, this power is merited. It's going to do, what is it, 3d8 at this level? That's like 13.5 average damage against a dex save. That'll kill off a little horde of goblins or kobolds. You're not going to use this all the time. That's the thing. You're not going to use this most of the time, in fact. But you also wouldn't use Fireball all the time, because as a level 6 wizard, you could only cast it like 2 or 3 times, and, you deal more damage, but you don't want to do that against single enemies anyway. You want to do it against groups, and that's what this is for. I think that this is a still good feature. I think this is a solid upgrade from the old Four Elements Monk, because you're getting what you want out of it for not too much. And it will have an effect on any battle you fight with groups of enemies. I'm giving this 9 out of 10. That might be a little high. Some people might think it's too expensive for not enough damage. Flurry of Blows does more, and you're right, it does. Against 1 enemy. Against 5 or 10, this is the better option. Anyway, level 11, let's move on. You get an extra power added to your elemental attunement, your Stride of the Elements, while your elemental attunement is active, which remember takes 1 focus point and it lasts for 10 minutes. You gain a flying speed and swimming speed equal to your speed. So yes, now you have concentration-free, 10-minute duration flight for 1 focus point, at which time you can also hit creatures from 15 feet away. Now you are a flying monk with ranged attacks. Short range, but still, 15 feet is enough to stay out of range of creatures even with reach weapons. Ranged weapons will still be able to hit you, but you have deflect attacks anyway. The swim speed is a nice little ribbon as well in case you have to go underwater. Now your elemental attunement will protect you. Doesn't give you ability to breathe underwater, but whatever. Yeah, this is actually phenomenal. Flying speeds are great, regardless of who has them. And being able to use it with a single focus point for 10 minutes, doing something you were going to be doing anyway, 10 out of 10 for that. Finally, at level 17, you get Elemental Epitome, while your Elemental Attunement is active. So this is another buff to your Elemental Attunement form. You gain damage resistances to 1 of the 5 elemental types, Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, or Thunder, and at the start of your turn you can change this choice, so if you find yourself fighting against an enemy like a dragon or an elemental, then you'll be able to keep yourself safer, and if you're fighting a spellcaster, you may be able to do some predictions, figure out what they're going to throw at you, and you can shift up your damage resistances as needed. Also, when you use Step of the Wind, and as a reminder, that lets you take the dash action as a bonus action with no focus, or you can use focus to dash and disengage at the same time, your speed increases by 20 feet until the end of the turn. Now notice it says your speed, not the speed of the dash, your natural speed. Monks already have crazy maneuverability, getting like, what is it at this level? Like 50 to 60 feet of natural movement. Now it's getting buffed to like 70 or 80. And what you're dashing. So basically what this means is, with no other assumptions on what feats or other buffs you've taken, you're going to be moving like, what is that, 150-ish feet in a single turn with nothing more than the Step of the Wind feature. And if you did use your focus point on it, you've disengaged, so creatures can't even opportunity attack you while you do this. While you are moving in this crazy speed, any creature that you go within 5 feet of takes damage equal to a roll of your martial arts die. And the damage is one of the elemental damage types we've already talked about, and a creature can take it once per turn. This is very much like the spell Ashardalon Stride, where you run past a bunch of enemies and deal damage to them with fire, but now you can choose the element, and you get a crazy speed when you do it. This is actually really fun. I think that this might be better than that little fireball you get to cast at level 6. I know this is level 17, but this is just your movement and your bonus action you're using. You don't have to use your action. You don't even have to use your focus, because technically speaking, Step of the Wind can be done without focus. So you can just run past creatures. They'll get to make opportunity attacks if you do that, so I would use the focus. But depending on how many creatures are on the field, like if you lined a bunch of creatures up 150 feet, what is that? Like 15, that's like 30 creatures if they were all lined up nice and neat, which would never happen. But that's a lot. That's a lot of damage. And your martial arts die is a D12 by this point. So a D12 of elemental damage with no save. This is powerful. And we're not even done. Once per turn, you can deal extra damage to a target equal to a roll of your martial arts die when you hit it with an unarmed strike. So basically, you get to hit a little harder once. And to me, that's the ribbon, because sure, you're hitting a creature with your fist for a D12, and one of those hits gets to be 2d12. Awesome. Great. The damage is the same damage dealt by the strike, and with your 15-foot reach and your flying speed, yeah, you're just going to hit one creature a little harder. It's a meaningful damage bump. Even at level 17, an extra d12 per turn isn't nothing. But I'm still over here mesmerized by the destructive stride. Just every turn, I would be doing this. I would be using my bonus action to do this not flurry of blows most of the time, just running around the battlefield, hitting everyone with an unavoidable d12 of elemental damage of my choice. And then you've got your attack still. I think Elemental Epitome is very, very good. I think I'm going to give it 10 out of 10. It's something I'm going to use most of the time. Damage resistance, automatic stride damage as long as you step up the wind, and an empowered strike, which again, you're going to have all three at the same time. So yeah, I'm giving this 10 out of 10. Even at level 17, this is a valuable and viable feature that is going to be used all the time. Overall, I love this monk. I think the Way of the Elements monk, the Warrior of the Elements monk, is strong. They've got the battlefield control with their reach attacks and the ability to push or pull creatures. They've got a little bit of outside combat utility with elementalism. I say a little bit, but they've got a flying speed at later levels, a pseudo fireball, which is a little weaker, but I guess by the end of the game it's dealing 3d12 damage, which is probably close to a fireball's damage, maybe a little lower still. Depends on how well you roll. And then at the end of the game, you got yourself this mad power, which, you know, it's a shame you gotta wait till level 17 to get it, but it's gonna make a difference in the end game. Overall, I'm gonna give it 9 out of 10. I think that it's not the strongest monk, but it's so much better than the old Way of the Four Elements. It lives up to the fantasy much easier, with lower costs, and genuinely, I think it's fantastic. It doesn't have to be the strongest monk. It lets you live out a fantasy that has been stripped from us in the old 5th edition books. And now it's here. And I love it. I love every bit of it. 9 out of 10 for the Warrior of the Elements. Thank you, Wizards of the Coast, for fixing this. I really like what you've done. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below. Have a look for the join button down there, and keep your eyes peeled for more subclass reviews coming down the line soon. Have a good one, my friends.